You are welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with your Sensie Owl Bob. That's this guy right here, your griot, here to tell you a story, and don't believe a word I say. Right? It's all fake news. But the one true thing is praise God, praise Jesus, and bless the other. Who is that other? Well, it's that 6.3 billion brothers and sisters caught in the crosshairs of a different culture than yours, right? You know, that collateral damage of profit. You know, I have to say, the strip is really good for Boeing and Lockheed and good old Sperry. No, that's the old days. You know, that was 1940 days. No. All those, what Eisenhower called the military industrial complex, which kind of started with Christopher Columbus, right? Because they were looking for that interesting, quickie way to India. And so Queen Isabella, after getting her hoo-hoo lip by Chris, sent him on his way in 3 leaky boats with crews out of prison. And they got kind of stuck out there in the Atlantic until they hit Hispaniola. And what was Hispaniola? It was not India, wasn't even North America. It was Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And when they got there, they found, well, first of all, they were next to dead from scurvy. And the Indians saw these big masts come across the skyline and drift into their neighborhood. And so they went out there with their long canoes and found all these people, and they took them back in and fixed them up and fed them and gave them remedies. So, they were, pretty good. And the first thing Chris did, because the reason Chris was picked was that he was a very descriptive writer, right? So he's like the human video camera, right? So he's like taking notes. These people are tall, they're generous, they're great, they're smart. They have amazing resources. They'll make great slaves, and we could conquer all 6 million of them with, a few shock troops and some rifles. And I bet you there's gold here too, right? So the Spanish were the first on the hit parade. And then the French kind of came in up north, right? Greenland, Iceland, Canada, New York, the Hudson. And then the Dutch, right, were right along with them. And the English came probably 60, 70 years later. So the French and the Dutch were looking to make deals with the Indians, treaties, right? And so the Indians said, well, these guys are going to just keep coming, so let's get what we can get out of them. And the Iroquois Nation was quite the business crew. Oh, I didn't bring my glasses. Kids, you had to put everything in, whatchamacallit, caps, because I didn't bring my glasses. Just want to saying say I can't read it, right? I get every third word. So if you want me to respond to this, now you guys, you read it amongst yourselves, and that's part of what the cadre is. But that is the real essence of the cadre, is the essence of the we in me. So when you just, oh, goody, there's somebody who put it, hello from Kambuka, whatever that is. Check hard, I can't read it. Put it in caps. That other person put in caps. What is he or she smarter than you? I think so. Yes. Anyway, get a hold of me at the dudeawake42 at Gmail if you want to have a mano-a-mano conversation. Okay, you need a hat and perfect for. Now, I'm a Hebrew, not a Jew. A Jew is a jeweler. A Jew was part of the, crowd that was left over from the sacking of Jerusalem by Roman. They just, Jerusalem got whacked, I don't know how many times. And what pushed the Hebrews out of the Palestine area was the Romans, because Rome saw that these guys weren't good for business. Whereas the Palestinians, they were happy folk. They were the happy people. If they were conquered, not a problem. Hey, try this olive oil. This is really good stuff. How about some goat cheese? Yeah, you like that? Yeah. We got fixed too. And our girls are cute. And whatever religion, we don't care. We're not like the chosen people. Now, I lived in Williamsburg, Brooklyn for a good 15 years. Way, way, way before it became hipster land, right? I moved in there in about 74, right? I got my first toe in the door. There's nobody else there, right? I was the first artist buff guy, or loft artist guy, right? And I rented just one 3,000 square foot loft. It was the tallest building in Brooklyn back in 1570. It was Dutch. It was 7 stories high. And on top, it had a pyramid. And this guy was a mason. Anyway, so then other buildings were in that whole area between where the Williamsburg Bridge is and the Manhattan Bridge was where they had tanners and distillers and stuff like that, like Domino Sugar and Budweiser beer, and those are the guys less. And everyone's are something spectacular. What announced? What was that? Them eyebrows are something spectacular. I got this. This is the nun eye. In first grade, I got beat up by a Nazi nun. After World War II, all of the Nazis that had something that the plutocratic bankers wanted, they were put down in Australia. They went to South America, and they went to the United States. About 70,000 of them. Now, Operation Paperclip, took the rock stars, but we took in about 70,000, especially people who knew how to torment, torture, that kind of stuff. Because that always comes in handy. Training police forces to do that, because they were the guys, that our Second Amendment started that all off. It wasn't so you could have an AR-15, no. It wasn't until Jimmy Carter. Up until then, in the United States, you could not have an automatic weapon. You could have a revolver. You could have a breached gun, right? You could have a shotgun. But you couldn't own a military version that would just spray bullets every which way. And you couldn't have clips, right? That was a military thing. And that was illegal up until Jimmy Carter was the boy who kind of cracked the door. And see, that's politics. What's going on now with the orange turd is that he's cracking the door, because we never had a democracy. We had a plutocratic republic. Look at our founding fathers. Look at our pictures right there. They're all white, rich men who owned slaves or businesses. The Constitution was written for their business. It was their business plan. It wasn't until the guys who fought on the ground, in Shays' Rebellion, that we got the, amendments. But those are just amendments. They can be erased out. And no one even reads them. Like, the First Amendment's my First Amendment rights, I got free speech. No. First Amendment states, I quote, Congress will make no law to enforce a state-run religion, period. The individual has a right, which can be taken away, a right to have any religion they may wish to have, and to gather in that religion in a place that they want to worship in, like a church, a synagogue, a mosque, etc. And they could freely speak, meaning pray, and make a wish to the powers that be to make their life better. That's the First Amendment. The first is pretty much a quote. The rest is, I'm not quoting, but it is exactly kind of what it says. Second Amendment, right? Authority has the right to organize a tidy militia to protect order within their auspices. Meaning, if you're a slave owner and you have plantation, you can have hired guns to keep the slaves in because in South Carolina, where rice was king, not cotton. I mean, they made money on cotton, but rice was it, right? And they had something like 6 million slaves in South Carolina when the 1776 came around, and there was like maybe 1,900 plantation owners, and maybe 200,000 white guys with whips and guns to keep the 6 million black folk enslaved. And that's our history. And it just keeps going and going and going, right? I won't, from Christopher Columbus to today, we have not been a democracy. We have been a plutocratic republic, right? So we have all of these guardrails and all of these norms. And, Richard Nixon, who was the smartest guy in the room, really good lawyer, really great senator, a really good vice president, he got crapped on from the time he was, from 1960 until he got to be president. Made fun of, made feel, so he had a chip on his shoulder. And all the way back, he came from a poor family. He didn't go to Yale. He went to, some, community college, but he was smart. And he went to World War II and was in the Navy and was, bullets was whizzing by his head, The Duke, he didn't, the only thing close to the Duke was his dookie, right? Anyway, so I started out with prayer. Praise God, praise Jesus, bless the other. And the other is all of us who are getting screwed all the freaking time because we're not woke, all politically correct. People don't even realize that the Republicans were the liberals and the progressives. They were the Republicans, right? And they were the blue guys. The red guys were the red dogs down south, the slave owners, right? So that red hat comes from the Democrats. And Donnie was a Democrat because his daddy was a slave owner there in Queens, New York, So go study your history. And don't believe a word I say. I'm just a stand-up comedian. And, I'm the style of George Carlin, not Jimmy. What's his name? Anybody's name who ends in a Y. Jimmy, Larry, Billy, Bobby, Kenny. I mean, look at South Park. There's the two cripples, Kenny and Timmy, and Timmy always dies. Hey, kill Timmy, This stuff, it's like right there in front of our face. This has been going on since Mesopotamia. Just read the first book, the one about the king they put on the island, and then he invented Enkidu. And Enkidu was not from a woman's loins, but was smarter than the king. Oh, baby. And in the beginning, everything was dark. What does that mean? What's dark? It was nighttime, moron. And then there was light, meaning the sun came up, right? So, the Hebrew nation, right? And, Adam begat Larry, and Larry became, Bobby, and Bobby, there in Genesis, there's a lot of begatting going on. A lot of begatting going on, man. Almost to the point of fornication. But it's in Genesis, so it's okay, and they're chosen people who knew, right? So anyway, the bottom line is nothing is as you've been told. That's why belief is a very single sharp-edged blade, like a razor blade, not a safety razor, like it's got two blades. Razors, that's belief. because you're taught to believe something, and then you find out it's not true, and you feel the other side of that razor blade. You feel like someone cut your heart, right? Now, faith is a different thing. Faith, you don't manifest faith. You don't make faith, right? What faith is given to us by our Creator, right? Back when Moses, Masonic law, no, not Masonic, excuse me, Mosaic law. It's like those little pieces of stone. Moses law, right? And it wasn't, Moses, like, he was the Hebrew, and the king said, get rid of all the boys. Mom didn't want that, so she put him in a basket and threw him in the Nile. And, the guy, the Egyptian king guy, Pharaoh, his sister, she was barren. So bingo, there it is. So she pulls out a little baby, takes it home, and it's like, a miracle, she's barren, but there's her baby, ooh. And that's Moses. So the Pharaoh loved Moses more than his father. I mean, didn't you see the movie? With the guy who was from somewhere between The King and I and Westworld, Yul Brynner, yeah, Magnificent Seven, that guy. He was the son, right? And he probably killed Dad so he could, have the job. Richard J. Murphy performs Planet High. Anyway, so bottom line, praise God, praise Jesus, bless the other. That's all of us who aren't part of the oligarchy, who aren't part of, and see all those guys, the oligarchy, they're the bourgeois. Look that one up, kids. Someone said, you don't know anything about Marx. Well, go look up the bourgeois, right? And you don't know, Marx was in a German jail along with his buddy, Engels. And I think he's related to the guy who has a supermarket. But anyway, they were in a German jail, and Mr. Rothschild bought him out, brought him to England, put him in a place called the City of London. Go look that up. There's 3 places that rule the world: the Vatican, City of London, and the Pentagon. And why should you say the Pentagon? Because it's satanic. Go look at it. It's a pentagon. What is a pentagon? A satanic symbol. Go look at Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. Why is it separate from the rest of the country? It doesn't even, it's like someone just kind of took something from outer space and stuck it there and said, oh, that's the District of Columbia. And all the roads are laid out in satanic stitchings. And don't believe a word I say. I'm just a storyteller. All these podcast people who just go on and, they just so their hair on fire about shit. It's like truly amazing. And it's not worth. What's worth is love's co-creation. The only reason we're still here is because, again, see, you got to follow the bouncing ball when you're listening to my stories. So there's Moses. He's going to be, the Pharaoh loves him like a rock, and in the movie you see, Moses, good old, what's his name, Chuck. Why do you, Chuck, what's Charles Heston, right? Chuck. Hey, Chuck, what does Chuck mean? Woodchuck, Chuck, I remember in Harlem, when people drink so much, they would vomit. He's chucking up. I guess, what can I say? Because I don't know. Don't believe a word I say. Oh. So the weather is changing. It was like hot, then cold, hot, then cold, hot, then cold, hot, then cold. Let's see, what are you saying here? Jake and blah, blah, blah. Come on, put it in caps. How do you get those little cats to sit on your eyebrows? You know how I do it? It's a miracle. I say, Jesus, this is kind of stupid, but how about putting cats on my eyebrows? Oh, no problem. Boom. But really, how I got these kitties on my eyebrows is that I was murdered by a Nazi nun in a school in Freeport, Long Island called Hitler's Rifle Squad, HRS, Holy Redeemer School, right downtown. And it was first grade, And I was, seen a above ground nuclear test, which changed my worldview, baby. And meaning I put my hand up and I could see the X-rays. I could see the bones in my hand, and when I was looking through, welder's goggles and the mushroom cloud going up, it was colors that didn't exist, and there were creatures inside that mushroom cloud, demonic creatures. Every time you blow off one of those suckers, you're letting go some really quiet, weird ass mojo, right? Anyway, so in the 50s, they used to make us get underneath our desk and duck and cover and then say the rosary, right? And I wouldn't get under the desk. Why should I? Because I knew that, you know, Joe Stalin was going to drop a bomba, the biggest hydrogen bomb ever made, on top of the Empire State Building and wipe out everything up to Toronto. you know, New York gone, Philly gone, DC gone, Boston gone, everything within 1,000 miles. And we were like just, a couple miles down the road from it. So there would be the flash, and we'd be incinerated, turned into atoms. And then, the shock wave would hit us, and right? And then the heat, and, whatever was left, we would turn into hot dogs. So from that first nanosecond, you wouldn't know anything. So why get on your knees? Yeah. And anyway, I annoyed her when I explained this to Sister Holy Roller Skate, and she grabbed me by the throat and crushed. And so, why does Sensie Owl Bob talk so strange? Because she crushed my larynx. Then, with the cinder block fist, she broke my jaw, the orbit of my eye, and that little stirrup there in my ear. So I was blind, deaf, I could barely breathe. Do 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 do. See, if you guys would put it in caps, I could read this stuff, but I can't. I haven't really come even. So I'm just kind of zipping through this stuff, and when my none eye gets the energy. So this eye here can't really see, but it sees energy, different frequencies of the EMF. Light is part of the EMF, radio waves, EMF. Let's see. You, my brother, I donated 1,000 BTC for nothing. Bitcoin. Where are you from? Well, I'm from God's Little Green Acres. That's where I'm from. I'm one of his lucky guys, one of his chuckle-headed, cheeky monkeys. That's what I was put on this earth. I'm like, came from this place called Las Vegas, not Lost Vegas. It's in another dimension, and that's where God goes to gamble. And for, eons, I was his car hop. And then one day, and the way you translated my name back then was not smelling very good. So he said, I've been watching you, and you're fun. You never get down. Everyone, just treats you, but you know more than anyone other than me. So let's go on a road trip. Road trip. That's what God said. Get in my car. And I said, sure, God, where are we going? You'll see. I have no idea. But I really like you. See, that was, I got bit the other night. The bugs here can get a little atrocious, but they're a lot better than they used to be. I mean, this whole place was just covered. You get out of your car and like 8 trillion no-see-ums, you would have a whole different body form, right? And I worked on the road. I got the water to drain off into the woods rather than be in gigantic lakes. And I did that all by myself. No one helped me. I mean, people lived here, but no one helped me. And then when I wouldn't do it, they, why is the road so? I said, well, because my legs like, I almost had my leg chopped off the other day. Well, they always, they have this big roulette wheel, and if I get snake eyes, see you later, legs. But so far for the last 17 years, so right now, I was going to have my hip fixed last week, but my doctor is truly amazing. I really have I've lucked out because, I'm at the peak of what medical, whatever you want to call what we have, and it's only for the super uber rich, right? Not even the people who think they're rich, because they're still getting Medicaid and Medicare. No, this is like the Uber. So a bunch of these investors who are doctors, not just bankers who buy the hospital and then steal everything out of it, and then get rid of the staff and still charge insurance for no one there, and then when they get sued, they go bankrupt, and then they sell the property as another LLC. And that's what's happening to medicine. That's why Medicaid was taken away. So all of 60% of all medicine is out there in the hinterlands, in the countryside, not the cities. And because the cities have already failed their medical need. And so because they don't see, back in the day when manufacturing was in the cities and all those folks came from the farms to work in the factories, they had Blue Cross Blue Shield. We actually, between the 1890s and 1950, we almost had single payer health care, right? And we had free education, go to college because they wanted smart people, right? But Harry Truman stopped all of that, not like what Donnie's doing. See, Donnie is really great. Praise Donnie, right? Because what he's doing in 6 months, he has destroyed this country, but not really. All he did was, did you ever see that movie, The Wizard of Oz? And they go through all this stuff. Did you know that movie was written by an economist? Follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road. That's like the gold that was supposed to be in Fort Knox, which never was. It was down on the road. And it was the Wizard of Oz was the, Federal Reserve. Because when they finally did it, bring me the Wicked Witch's broomstick, and they did, right? And you go, oh, wow. Well, I gotta go have lunch. You gotta stay here. Well, I don't question the Oz, right? And Toto, everyone's going, oh, Oz, ooh. And Toto kind of walks over to stage right, pulls the curtain away. And there's this guy in a Brooks Brothers suit with switches and a microphone. I am the old powerful. And that's kind of what's going on. And Donnie's doing it in public. He's like the emperor who is naked, because his smell goes beyond whatever your sight is. The last thing you lose when you die, I was an EMT, and we saved unbelievable amount of people. We were good. But our house was right where Interstate 81 and 97 or whatever, two interstates crossed, and somebody, instead of building a cloverleaf, they just X'd the highways, and they pocketed the money. And so, somebody from Ohio's never been up there in New York, and they're realizing, oh, I got to pull up there, and they would shoot across the highway, and big tractor trailer would run them right over. So we would respond to something like that 3 times a week. I did that for 3 years, 3 times a week, sometimes 10 times a week. It was like the war. It's like being in the Gaza Strip. It was like, wow. But we had technology, and we had Cornell Critical Care Hospital, where they were inventing all the stuff that they were going to use in the next war. All our artificial, replacing your hip, your knee, that's all from war. All the drugs from war. None-eye, that's me, buddy. How you doing? Who is that, Buddy? Is that you, Buddy? Buddy! Now, if this is truly Buddy is one of the originals. One of the originals. Come on, guys, put it in capitals. You must, be a lower life form. I mean, I wouldn't want to say that about the cadre, but we really all are loyal lower life forms, right? It's called the proletariat, right? And just a few DNA molecules above that is the bourgeois. Mm-mm-mm-mm. I mean, who's this guy with all the yellow heads and like who? What are you cool? What you know how to do that? Love Linda, love Linda, love Linda. Well, that's fun. You must be a bot, really, because only a bot would do that. You know, I know I have a lot of friends who are on the scale, and none of them would do this. Yep. Let's see. Here's somebody who didn't do that. They broke the. They are not chosen, right? Come on, that's somewhat interesting. If I could read it, put it in capitals. You can do it. Cut and paste, hit capital, bang, there it is. Can't read. I didn't bring my. I'm old. I forgot to bring. I had to walk a mile and a half up here to do this. Now I had to walk a mile and a half back down. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, man? You know what I mean? 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 Stop that. Okay. Come on. Look at this clown. Look at this. Just never ending. Is that a troll? I love Linda. I love Linda. Okay. Shockwave still hitting me. Yep. Mm-hmm. See, they knew how to put it in. W knew how to put it in. And there is someone writing a Sanskrit with a little heart. I like that. Sister Holy Roller Skate. Yes, that's the one. She's the one who, gave me the eyebrow and the nut eye. So anyway, so here it is. And right now, the orange turd and BB, whatever his name is, the usual suspect. That's what BB is, the usual suspect. You remember in Casablanca, collect the usual suspects, right? That's BB. He's all of those malfeasance that they would scrape off the road, covered in vomit and exposing themselves in public and the usual suspects. That's BB, a leader of the chosen few. Yep, they are great. They're great. I love those guys. They really are. They are the best, especially when they start nuking the Mideast. Ooh, baby, you think right now, Jojo, the used car salesman, he cracked the door on so many things that allowed Donald to come and just blow through all of the norms. Jojo set up the pens. The orange turd is knocking them down. So it's all good. This needs to be done. And then the drunk, Pete the drunk, is bringing all of the leadership of our military to a singular place in Virginia. And in The Art of War, Lao Tzu said, never do that, stupid, because you could suffer what is known as a decapitation. We have armies all over the world, and they have no leaders there now. So what are we going to do? So that, these guys, it's still September, too. Ooh, that means stuff can happen. Look what happened 20-something years ago on September, right? So look what happened last year on September, right around here, the event. Anti-neutrons were being shot out of the earth and the trees flew through the air. I love it. I just love it. It's all in front of us. And all those Christians, yesterday was Churchy Day, right? And, the churchy people came and picked me up, and that was sweet of them. And as we were driving, I said, I got to go to the doctor's on Thursday. Can you do that early in the morning? 7. I just need you from 7 till about 1. I'll buy you lunch. And it's, no, no, I have to watch television. I have to watch Fox. I can't stop watching Fox. It's because the end times are coming, and the Fox is the only ones who are going to say it. And that's kind of what the three Christian churches, do they talk, when fellowship's around, do they talk? So we had this lesson about when Jesus, was walking through town, and this rich guy goes, hey, I've been coming to you get these crowds, 40, 50, 100, numbers that we can't even count on our abacus. And you're telling stories. Now, I'm not saying I'm that guy, but I've been told over and over again by Jesus and God saying, listen, buddy, you don't have to get anybody to do anything. Just tell them the story. Just be the good example. Just in every day, in every way, take the piece of the earth and make it so. They've been saying that to me since I was 6 months. Once I stuck that butter knife in the outlet, that got me on the way to the nun-eye. Again, come on. You can do it. I don't know if I have faith in you, but I know you are physically able to type this stuff in capitals. You just have to hit that carriage thing, that shift thing, and it says lock, then right away, right? So, thank you for the 16 likes. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and praise God, praise Jesus, and bless the other. Let's have a prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without end. Right. So what does that mean? Let's translate. Our Father. So is God this, male entity sitting on top of a gold throne? No. The word God comes from Babylonian, the guys before Mesopotamia, before that, right? Not the Essenes. Those guys have always been around, and they're always on stage right, just going, So I would, if you really want to see what's going on, go read. It's on the internet. Everything's on the internet. Go read the Dead Sea Scrolls. And they were left, they're like, how there's cookies on the internet? Well, the Essenes left the Dead Sea Scrolls in a cave for us to get now. They were, found in the late 50s, early 60s. They bounced around between different collectors and then found their way to some interesting scholarly people who started to translate them and found that they were, whoa, baby. And so they started publishing them on paper and stuff. And the Catholic Church got very upset with that. And so, but only certain elements. See, the Jesuits, the Franciscans, and a few other, the guys, the Rosary Cross guys, a few others are pretty nasty folk. But there are some really great ones, like the Marinols are a great group, and there's others, right? So there's always this little conflict, just like, and in the beginning it was dark, and it was because it was the big giants were asleep. So, and then it was light, meaning the sun rose, and that's kind of the conflict or the dynamic, the metaphor of what's going on in this place. This little conflict between the light and the dark. And neither of them is bad or good. It's just the light and the dark. Now, because of Genesis and chucklehead and Eve was the smart one. Adam was just a chucklehead. He came first, And he was like the mistake, The Anunnaki said, "Oh wow, we really screwed up on this one because it was just a high school science fair project." But when they said, but if we look at this, wow, what are these things called? Breasts. Ooh, let's make them a little pointy and have really hard nipples. And ooh, yeah. And this look at this wormy thing. Let's push it inside. Yeah. Ooh, that's kind of fun. So bingo, there's Eve, right? And so she's a smart one, you know. Chuckles, he just kept he had an artistic flair. He would sculpt things out of his feces. And they always kept looking like Donald, the orange turd? It's like all through from that point on, it's the orange turd, and that grew into the ego, the orange turd. Anyway, so then, love's co-creation, just love hanging with us, right? And talking to us. It was so much fun. It's like playing with puppies, right? But Eve, 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 Eve. And so the snake was made by, everything is made by love's co-creation, right? Anyway, so back and in the beginning, when the Anunnaki, had their science fair, it was, one reason why Adam was kind of icky was that, they were playing with him, and then it got dark and they had to go home. So, for dinner. And they call it Seder. And so they, came back later in the evening, right? And they were, creating, and that's why Adam was so not well formed, right? And so, but when Eve, she was illuminated, that's the snake, Satan. He's the illuminated one, right? So he put the spotlight on that girl. And so, anyway, and don't believe a word I say. This is just a story. Anyway, so when they got around to saying, and in the beginning, it was early morning. It was still dark, it's like around 4 o'clock a.m. and the sun hadn't risen yet. And in the beginning, it's so, bang, the sun rises, right? And there you go. We have the Garden of Eden. It's a gated community, right? So Chuckles, he wanted, he felt because he was so poorly formed, he needed to look up to something. And Love's co-creation needed a reflection. And when he looked, when Love's co-creation looked at Adam, he was so misformed. Look, that's me. Oh my God. So if you read the Old Testament, and in the Hebrew, it's called, what is it called? There's Kabal, Tabla, Torah. So that book, Torah, you know what it is translated into Greek and then into English? It means you suck. So if you read the Torah, pretty much all it is, this character actor, because Love's co-creation was the Alpha and Omega, didn't need to get pissed off, didn't have to get angry, didn't have to do any of that. But for the storyline, we have this guy named God. And really, back in Babylon, he was called Gob. Just, what is, a deity named Gob? What do Gob is like, no, that's Gob. But that's not Love's co-creation, Anyway, so, so, there it is, 4 a.m., and then let there be light. The sun rises, right? And there's Jesus, because Jesus is that light. But Satan is also the brighter light, the illuminated one. So Jesus is, he is not incandescent, right? He is made of this other light, Love's co-creation. And he doesn't really, he kind of is in the wings, but he never really shows up. And so it gets to this point where Eve gets so bored, why can't I eat this fruit? And Snake said, oh, go ahead, see what happens. And bingo, bango. And so, bang, they eat that fruit. And it was just before, because they eat stuff at night, the Seder, right? And so because they took after the giants, the Nephilim. And so they're eating, bang, and so they get thrown out, and they're given this flaming sword, and they get thrown out, and that's why the Hebrews have their Sabbath starting at sunset on Friday to sunrise on Saturday. And then they rest Saturday. And the first day of work for the Hebrews is Sunday. Sunday ain't their day of rest. No, they're working. They're got the factories humming. They're smoking cigarettes. There's I think it's the one right now. There's a holiday where the real Orthodox, they can't use, they can't light a match to light a cigarette. I forgot what time of year, but I used to, the kids, right? When they made Bic lighters, I had the kids go stand on Roebling's and Broadway and all of Roebling's, South 11th Street, South 10th, 9th Street, Roebling's, because that's where all the Hasids all and were on that. And just before the Williamsburg Bridge was Lubavitcher. So this real high, hippie, holy day of the Orthodox Hebrew tribes, they couldn't light a match. They couldn't do a light switch. They couldn't do any of that, right? And when you walk into a room and the light goes on, that was created by Eagle Electric in Queens for those guys. So, the guys wanted the lights to turn, but they couldn't hit the switch. It's against Orthodox rules. But you can walk into a room and the light goes on. So, man, I made buku bucks putting those things in every Lubavitcher, every Hasidic home, yes, it was fun living those guys. So I had the young hoodlums hang out on all these streets, and the bigger ones would have this bag. And the Hasidim, who were really addictive folk, I mean, it's humans, and they kind of go back to Adam, who's kind of malformed. Anyway, the Hasidim women, on the other hand, are like, Wonder Woman. They are just, that's why they make them shave their heads and have sex through sheets. They actually do that. But don't believe a word I say, right? It's all make-believe, and it's a cartoon, and I'm writing this with crayons as we speak right now. And so, here's somebody who's going on and on. What did I say? Don't believe a word I say, right? But I'm just like Donnie. I'm cracking the door so you can see in, right? And you are the decider. It's up to you to decide, right? Not me to tell you what it is. This is a story. And I'm not being anti-Semitic because I trained to be a rabbi. And I trained to be a rocket scientist for the Vatican. Meaning I've got some interesting theological background. Thomas Merton was one of my, Thomas Merton became a priest because my mother wouldn't date him because he was Methodist. And she goes, Tommy, I can't date you. You're not Catholic. And so he went to become Catholic, and that's when he found Jesus' true love. Anyway, keep going, So thanks for the thumbs up. And, the folks who are trollyish, throw in a couple thumbs down just to see what it does to the algorithm, Might draw more of that, and then, we get, I'd love to have 70,000 people watch this show. And I've only been doing it now for about 49 minutes. Now it's gotten friggin' cold. When I got here, it was, kind of, kind of warm. The sun was, so I'm gonna, and I didn't bring my raincoat either. My garbage bag. So I'm not going to show you my naked body because YouTube said that was indecent. I think they got excited by my nipples. So I got this garment out of the ground score box. We got all these clothes during the hurricane, and the stuff that nobody wanted, some of the real uninitiated would burn the clothes. We don't have the room, let's burn them. I mean, I said, why don't we bail them up? I got a bailing thing. I said, why don't we bail them up and send them to the people in Kentucky who also, those people, where is Kentucky? I don't know. Are they Baptists like us? You know, around here, you know, between Abington, Johnson City, and Asheville, right? That's a triangle. And it's part of what this entity called the BBI, that's an offshoot of the Tavistock Institute. And I used to be a consultant for those guys. And when they wanted to investigate something but not be there, they would send me. So, and I was dumb enough and young enough to go, wow, that sounds fun. And that thing is called the Devil's Triangle. And between Asheville and where 81 crosses 66, which is the road that goes to D.C., and you look at the sign, there's 81 and then 666, and if you take the square root of 8 and divided it by 1, you'll get another 6, so that's really 666. Anyway, so, and don't believe a word I say. Go online and get a picture, like from up above, of all the roads. And you will see every satanic sitchin there is. And so, you know, the Pentagon was always known as the War Department until 1947, when we were going to have all these crazy wars, and we didn't want to call them wars. So we called, we changed in 1947, the National Security Act changed the name to the Defense Department. Just like No Child Left Behind was, whoever is doing that. Now, see, people would say, why don't you get rid of them? Just bounce them out. Because last time I tried to do that, I knocked the channel off the air. So it's like wallpaper. And it's definitely got to be a, whatchamacallit, a drone or a bot or something. Ask clone needs to give the computer back to his mommy. Exactly. Look at that. It's just, oh. So, again, you know what you need to do? You need to go on comments and leave some comments there that, you know, Drone Boy here may not do. And even if he does, then if he does this, comment, a zillion comments like that on my comment line, then, you know, the algorithm will go, wow, there's 8 million of these things. He must be, you know, anyway. So, anyone have any questions? How about you, Drone Boy? Can you come up with a question? You know, I would almost say that this Drone Boy is John Birmingham because, you know, gay. He keeps saying gay. I think he's saying gay because he's not putting it in capital, so I can't freaking read it. You know what's interesting? the drone boy knocks, people put something up and then it's not there anymore. And then there are then there's all these messages that are, held, right? So anyway, so you know what we're gonna do? Really fun. We don't need this digital crap. I want everyone who's watching, all 22 of you, we're gonna have a guided meditation, and we're going to go into our Akashic record and talk to each other. We won't need the internet. How about that? Okay, ready for this? Okay. So again, I want everyone to sit in a comfortable chair. Don't be driving a car and do this. Do something because you're going to leave your body. Your body's still going to be there. And all the mechanisms, your heart and everything will work quite nicely and no big deal. But your consciousness, that is there with love's co-creation, that will step back. You ready for this, kids? Here we go. So, our Father who art in heaven, right? So, our Father means not that Father, but love's co-creation. Who art in heaven. Heaven is like not here. Hallowed be thy name. Hallow is a really important word. It means like the name that can't be said because it can't be understood unless you go into agape love and be the griot that is the doula of love's co-creation. Now, I know you can do that. I know you can, right? So visualize that. So there's, love's co-creation, that's God. That's, because that word God really denotes the Mesopotamian demigod Gob, who is just basically vomit. And love's co-creation is not vomit. It's the creator of all things. And all things are love's co-creation. Okay. So you're sitting in the chair, you're lying in bed, you're in your lazy boy, but you're in a safe place, right? So close your eyes, get in a comfortable position. Let's see if I can get in a comfortable position. And start breathing deep. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And slow down. Fill your lungs more. More. Fill your lungs as far as they've ever been. Keep going. Hold it. And then out. More out. When you do that, when you breathe in as deep as you can, what you're doing is filling your lungs with all of the prana. Prana is not incandescent light. It's photonic light. It's not Hertzian. It's scalar. And this is what love's co-creation is made of. Whereas the incandescent light, the brightness, that's why I call, neon husk. Neon is the brightest light there is. That's not photonic light. Because it's not incandescent. Incandescent is an element that's burning. That's why the incandescent light bulb burns out, because it's got this filament in there, that is a carbon construct. You run current through it, and it vibrates real fast, and it makes incandescent light. Got it? And that's what Satan is, the illuminated one. Incandescent light. He's incandescent. That's right. And what is incandescent? It is a light that throws shadows. And that's what we live in, a shadow world, right? So you're breathing deep. You're pulling in all that prana into your lungs, and your heart is pumping your nice red blood into that, and getting enriched with photonic energy, and it's going throughout every cell of your body and enriching it and healing it. And that's what your stem cells are. They are photonic. And that's why they don't die. They may fall asleep because you become so much of a puddinhead, so bourgeois, that all you Marxists don't even know what that word is. So anyway, you're breathing in that photonic light, and you're breathing out all the waste product. And when you breathe out more waste product than anything every day. When you defecate, when you urinate, when you sweat, tears, your breath gets more toxins out of your body than all the rest. So if you breathe deep and breathe out as far as you can, you're taking from the sewer of your lungs. You are getting all that crap out. So you're not going to get you're not going to get cancer. You're not going to get diabetes. You're not going to have heart disease by just breathing in God's love. So come on, close your eyes and do that. Breathing in that prana, and hear that sound. Yeah. They're taking off. They're like 3 or 4 miles away, and they're clearing off the top of the most beautiful mountaintop, so they can see over the ridge into where Asheville is, that whole valley down there, and then it goes on to the Atlantic. Well, the air pollution's so bad because right there where Asheville is, Interstate 40 and 26 come together where 1 million cars go through Asheville every day. Half of them are diesel trucks, and they're in this bowl, not a valley, a bowl. So the wind just blows right over. So that crap stays right there. Highest level of lung diseases. And I want to live there. It's so cool. They have all these healers. No. Any healer worth their salt has left a long time. I left in 96. Because when I was there was nobody there. You had the 2 interstates were there. 26 wasn't an interstate there, Anyway, you're seeing all of this. It's flitting right by. Everything I say, the stories I'm telling you, everything I've said so far is like flitting by, right? And you're seeing it on a big screen. And what is that screen? It's right behind your eyelids. When you sleep, you'll have rapid eye movement. That's your dreams, right? You're watching the movie. So you got your eyes closed, you're breathing deep, you're cleansing your body. All the stories that I've just told you in the last 67 minutes are like flashing, like and you're getting insights like, what is this? Now, all of you moron, clone, bots, whatever, you're not my sweet puppy AI, that's for sure. And you guys have to start putting the stuff you're writing in caps. There is no... Again, this thing about you don't something Jew, something there, something body, living, bullocks, scrotum. Come on, it's so small I can't read it, by, who is that? The alien chosen? Oh, you must be Jewish. Anyway, you're definitely not part of the Hebrew tribe. You're not, Lubavitcher. You're not, Orthodox. You're not Reformed. You're not any of the 12 tribes. And that's who I belong to. Aham Hasidim. That's the tribe I belong to. My Rabbi Ratner. So, were you schooled in a Lubavitcher? I was. Can you read Latin? Can you read Greek? I used to. I can barely see now. Languages, I can pick up any language as long as I'm living there, immersed in it. So, living in Williamsburg, Brooklyn with a Hasidim, that's all they talk. They Yiddish and, that's it. Alien whatever. Did you, Alien Chosen, or The Alien Chosen, did you ever read the Kabbalah or the Tabla? Do you know what those 2 books are? Let's have a theological discussion. You're so groovy. So tell me what the Kabbalah is. Tell me the 3 books and how they fit into each other. Who reads what? Tell me within the temple in the promised land. What rooms were there? How many were they? What were they for? And who was able to be in them? Can you tell me? Anyway, and all of you who are going into state, I'm going to count from 1 to 3. Now you got your eyes closed, you're illuminated yourself with the photonic light, you're seeing all of this, all the things that I'm talking about. You see the images in the screen, you're going, wow. And it's better than Chuck in, the 10 Commandments, 1, you're in a deep, 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 deep state of relaxation, going deeper and deeper and deeper. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You're cleaning out every atom of your body. You're letting go of all of the illusions of the material world. All that you can feel in your heart at this time is love's co-creation. You're starting to understand that you have 3 brains. The cottage cheese brain, that's your the thing that is connected to your eyes, nose, and ears, the thing that moves real quick. So you can see that predator behind a tree, right? And then, there's the hard drive, right? Or the, the thing that runs everything, right? That's your heart. That has more current than your car battery, right? That's why they need a big thing to jump it back, right? You've seen, everyone clear, boom, that's a lot of juice. And then all the information that you ever kind of got is in your colon. There's trillions of little creatures in your colon that each one has a little idea about this, that, the other thing, right? That's when people say, you got shit for brains, Do, 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 do. Really? So, the little, talking scribey thing there, all it's doing, and I love the fact it's doing it, it is representing the soured little selfish ego that feels so insecure, so I'm not worth anything. I just want to, it's all about me and I'm not miserable. I just wanted my life. No, that's not your life. If you only knew the love and the joy of co-creation, of the we in me. That me is love co-creation. We is all of us who are right now in state. And 1, you're in a deep, 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 deep state of relaxation, going deeper and deeper and deeper. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You're cleaning. You see, the prana go in at 1 lung, the crappy blood going through that thing and getting energized by the prana, and then it goes through the other lung and it's being pushed throughout your body, and that blood is just shining with prana and going to every cell of your body and healing everything. First, everything physical, right now. I have everything broken in my body, but right now I feel all of that love of all of you. Feel all of that love of everyone who is in state, who closed their eyes, who are breathing deep right now, right? So their conscious mind is turned off. You can't think about texting something or doing anything other than feeling love's co-creation. Feel it. Be there now. And every day in every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger as the doula of agape love, of love's co-creation. See it clearly. And 1, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. You're lying down, you're in that chair, you're in a safe place. You're no longer thinking about anything physical because all of the pain is gone, right? Just like right now, my hips don't hurt, my knees don't hurt, nothing hurts in my body because I'm connected through love's co-creation with you. You know, we are the covenant, right? We are that salad bowl of the covenant, right? The ark, and that's humanity. Humanity isn't one thing; it's an ark. And anything on that ark isn't evil or bad. It's made by love's co-creation. It's the illusion of religion that makes us think that, oh, yeah, I'm not Baptist. Oh, if I'm not this kind of this, then no, they're evil. They're the no, no, no. We have to kill them. They're not even human. They're the animals. That. No, we're all on this scale, and we're all love's co-creation. We have that covenant. See that clearly. I'm going to be quiet for a moment, and I'm going to let you feel that. Feel it, feel it, feel it. So our love's co-creation, hallowed be thy name. And that name is love. And that name is love's co-creation and agape love. That love can do all things. That's what miracles are. That's what heals people, not medicine, not money, not fear. I'm back. Everyone's trying to interrupt. So there's 14 of you there, probably a lot, maybe 6 times that are in state. So even if they knock this show off the air, you'll still be there, and I'll still be with you. So there we go. You're looking at the screen, you're seeing all the trolls, all the drolls, all the bots, and they are illusion. They are incandescent, they're shadow. Now, Carl Jung talked about understanding. You shouldn't be scared of the shadow. You should understand what it is and shine a light on it. See what it is. And you see it's a scared little worm, right? Not even a human. It's an ego. When you are a doula, and that word is Greek for slave, not servant, not bringing, God or Gob, his cheeseburger. No. It's being in co-creation, right? Being in covenant. The biggest sin there is not to be in covenant. The biggest sin is to not feel God's love. The biggest sin is to turn your back. I can't believe in miracles. I can't believe in that. I live in a real world. The numbers at the bottom of the page. Da 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 da. That's the original sin right there. Not eating the apple. That right there. Before they picked the apple, they had to say that. They turned their back on love's co-creation. And all I wanted to do, the covenant was just, hey, let's talk. Let's sit down. Let's have a cup of tea. And you're too busy. Too busy to help someone. Too busy to even help yourself. And every day and every way, take that love and make it stronger. By just the little things, by being whatever you're doing, be conscious intent. You're brushing your teeth. Do it with conscious intent in covenant with love's co-creation. And you'll never go to the dentist. Right? Now, the reason I'm still alive after wee having one heck of a rodeo ride for the last 70 something years is that I've always been in covenant, right? Now, I'm a chucklehead. I can do, I'm a cheeky monkey. I can do all kinds of crazy stuff. And every time I would do that, and I catch myself like, I'm not really. You still there? "Oh, you are. You're right there with me. And I, Love's co-creation would be giggling like, boy, you're such a chucklehead. And I said, was that sin? And he goes, no, it's not sin. But there's always a consequence. Right. So I was being cheeky monkey to that Nazi nun, and she murdered me. That was the consequence. But the unexpected consequence was that I could see things that other people don't see with this eye because I can't see the other crap that other people see. This one sees that, but put them together, woo, baby. Ear. I can't, whenever I'm talking to someone like face to face, I have to turn this ear to them. This one, it's like static. It's like what you get. I don't know if any of you people have Tennyson. That's what that sounds like. But if I concentrate this ear, like 3 miles away, I can hear someone talking in the bathroom to themselves. Or, it's like Doppler radar. I can hear weather coming. I can hear vehicles coming, where other people can't hear anything. I can hear birds and animals where they are and how they're feeling. I can hear that. And, my jaw has, it never, it healed, but it's a little weird, it doesn't do quite. That's one reason I have this, I had this because, I don't have water, don't have a razor. I'm kind of, basically, one of my greatest gifts is I am creatively lazy. By doing so, it enables me to do amazing feats because if I'm not lazy, I'm really focused because I want to get back to being lazy. And that's God. That's gob. But love's co-creation isn't lazy, isn't, anal retentive. It's none of the above. It's, hallowed be thy name. And you can't pin down love's co-creation other than to say that it's unconditional love. That's the closest thing within our illusionary world that we can say is that it is, right? So that's why war is an anathema, right? What's going on, there's over 140 wars going on around this world right now. And we, on the TV, on our screens, too. But, the one in Sierra Leone, there's 82 million people going through what the kids and the Gaza Strip are going, right? And you can see that, Hamas, you got to realize that Hamas, that they were put there because, first of all, Palestinian, la guys and 60, 70 guys, those guys were put there in Lebanon by, the Zionist crew, right? And, the Zionist crew ain't part of the Hebrew tribes. You don't find the Zionist crew in, and I'll be better than that. I won't call them the Zionist crew. They get upset about that. What I'll call is Joe Blogs just texted me saying Russia's out of gas. Anyway, so the crew who's in there, they are what are known as the Kashno. It's this ancient mob, Karelian mob, Khazarian mob, something like that. Whenever I see gay, all I can say, "Hey, John Birmingham, how you doing, buddy? Hope you're well. You're You will always be my friend. You know, I may never ever see you again, but I may not ever call you again or may not respond to you ever again, but you're always my friend, and I never give up on my friends, right? But I don't put myself in harm's way, and as Freud says, if you try and do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome, you're nuts. So, for the year and plus I lived with Johnny Toilet up at the school, which wasn't a school. You know, the school was the thing George called it. The thing that Inga called it was love's co-creation. She called it the hill. She said, the hill's like my puppy dog. It's sacred. Yeah, really gay folk look like this? I don't know. Usually they're better dressed than this, you know. Oh, let's see how this person drives up the road. The youngins, they just speed up and destroy the upper part so they, you know, people can't get up and down. And then, so three-quarters of it I kind of take care of with a rake, not heavy equipment. I just kind of adjust the headstones to put the, here they come. Who is this? It sounds like someone doesn't know how to drive on this road. Yeah, yeah. It's a rich guy with a brand new $100,000 Ford pickup with nothing in the bed. So once he hits that stone, here we go. Can you hear it? You hear that? He's just digging the crap out. You hear that? Hear that? He's almost stuck. He's almost stuck. He's almost up the cliff. He's almost up the cliff. He's not on top of the road. Uh, I can't see. It sounds like he made it. But he dug another big hole. So coming back, coming back, that's, you know, you can dig the hole going up, but when you come back, that's when it's like, a hole is like this, so your tire goes boom, and usually knocks the rubber out of the rim. It's happened 6 times this summer. I just love it. I don't even have a car anymore. So I do rake 3/4 of it because all I do is adjust, when it's going to rain, I adjust the stone so it washes whatever stone's there evenly down that 3/4 and gets rid of the Grand Canyon and all the buds and levels it off. So you heard him kind of coming up and he wasn't digging it up. But once he hit the grade where it's about, that grade back there is about 28 degrees. The grade where you heard him like spinning through the stone, digging a hole, that's about 48 degrees. And that's like stupid. When the guy, but see, that road is a logging road. It's not really, and people drive on it like it's a driveway or something of that nature. Because the other road over there washed out and they still haven't finished fixing it. You hear that? That's a stone truck. They've been dumping so much stone because a year before the great event, on the other side, the highest mountain over there, they cut up the whole top so they could build 20 $40 million houses, houses for people who have 16 other houses around the world. But those houses are on top of the thing, and they're as big as a Lowe's, right? Again, all of you folks who are in state, you're seeing this, and what you're seeing is not the charade of the incandescent light of Satan. You're seeing the truth of love's co-creation focused on that illusion. And you're getting a really strong picture of what the frack is going on. So, how many, we've been doing this now for 41 minutes, and it's 1:10. So I'm going to, what am I going to do? See, 1 out of 40 of these messages. Come on, kids, just please put it in because I have to look really hard to see a good message. So that one's very nice from Outlaw Pistolio. See, yeah, anyway, but thank you for your comment. Let's see. Spells. A spell I can cast, and that's I write and I use spelling. When you write something, that's a spell. Did you know that, Mister, whatever you are, who's all Zionist, not Zionist, Khazarian mob. That's who you are. You're the Mr. Khazarian mob, who's going on and on and on. That character, he doesn't know the 3 books. He doesn't know what the Torah, Tabla, and Kabbalah are, but they're code books because every letter in every alphabet is a number. You put a word together, you get an equation. Equation is a spell. It's an algorithm. Algorithms have been around forever. Look like the... I know. So, but right now I don't have a car, don't have, I've done all of that. I made a lot of money. I've done a lot of things. I've had 7 lives. I got 2 left, right? And basically God is, loves not God, loves co-creation and Jesus. They're tooling me up for what's coming next. And it's going to be the movie industry. I have 18 novels that would make, wow. I have a thing called Griot Media that I got some pretty beautiful, amazing things in that. I have this thing called the Institute for Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technology, which would pretty much bring peace on earth, right? But we can still make a profit. No one says you can't make a profit. The thing is you have to share it amongst everyone, not just keep it for yourself. The rich man asked Jesus, how do I get into heaven? What did Jesus say? He said, sell everything you got, give it to the poor, right? So when you sell everything you got, then you're the poor. You can keep a little, right? But not that not like having 10 buildings the size of Lowe, and you can hear all this construction. That is what they're doing. They're turning this whole place into one gigantic ant farm of gated communities, just like Asheville, just like Greensboro, just like Johnson City, just like, all of this area that was so beautiful when I first came here in 1967. And all the body people, all the Khazarian mobsters who are doing that, it's sad. It really is, And I pray for you, And Jesus forgives you and love's co-creation is waiting for you to lay down your ego. And just, there isn't, there's the sin of omission and commission. There is no sin of omission. Meaning what you're doing right there could be legally described as the sin of omission, but there isn't, because all I have to do is say, God, I'm sorry. I didn't know any better. I'm scared. I'm a little child. Please help me. And God will help you. God will protect you. God will heal you. And loves co-creation. When I say God, I just say that because it's a nomenclature that you can relate to, right? I would hope you could relate to love's co-creation, right? I would hope you could understand what agape love is. I would hope you could feel in your body, when there are a lot of religions where they are born again, right? Well, you're supposed to be born again every second in co-creation with love. Listen, they're ripping apart a beautiful mountain, that whole range over there. when I got here 25 years and I could walk, I used to hike all over this place because this place, they didn't have roads. What they had was train tracks. They were like, right of ways every which way. They had little trains, and because they had these little mines of exotic materials, not just coal, and iron. Had all the mica and all these really exotic metals, and that's why Elizabethton and Johnson City has ETSU, because that neck of the woods used to be the Silicon Valley of the 19th century. This is where plastic was invented. Whatchamacallit, Oak Ridge is just down the road because there are all of these exotic materials here, that they made the atomic bomb with. Anyway. So, I'm pleased to be called Grandpa, or Dumbledore, or Sensei, or Rabbi. People used to call me Rabbi. When I was in Israel, people called me Rabbi. Because the first time I went there, I went with Rabbi Ratner, and he was the top dude. And so when we landed in the international airport there, and we got off, we didn't even have to show our passports. That was just with him, right? And, when we walked through customs, everyone was, Rabbi. And Rabbi Ratner said to me, they're talking to you, buddy. I said, oh, really? And they said, oh, really? Because I was about 23. So, So you can call me Rabbi if you want. Or you can call me Sensei. Now, I'm an EMF wizard. I'm a wizard with electricity. You remember that Disney thing, The Sorcerer's Apprentice? Well, I apprenticed to Nikola Tesla, I worked for Grandpa Stahl, who was Nikola Tesla's bench electrician. All those things that Tesla thought up in his mind and made equations and drawings about, he would hand them to Grandpa Stahl, and Grandpa Stahl would make them. All those pictures you see of Tesla, these gigantic coils, and that was all in Mohawk Electric. Grandpa Stahl owned that building. It was right on the corner of Duane and Hudson, right off of Duane Park. I don't know if it's there anymore, but it was a beautiful, beautiful building. And that was his last really big laboratory before he turned Eastern Long Island into one big science fair. And that's why Brookhaven National Laboratory is out there, because that was Nikola Tesla's laboratory, That's where, the Philadelphia experiment was created. That's where time travel was created. The Montauk Project was created. And that's why, the Manhattan Project, why was it called the atomic bomb? Was only one of those things. And it was the least, because once they got 0-point energy and they could dump unlimited amounts of energy, electricity, energy, EMF, into any spot on the planet, let alone the universe, there was no need for war. These wars we have now are just to make money, and also to fulfill satanic, stupid spells. That's what they are, stupid. There's no power. Did you ever see Johnny Depp in that movie about ancient books, and this really rich guy is trying to collect this, and he wants to become the power spirit. He wants Satan's helper, blah, blah, blah. And, this angel is always, somewhere between taking a page out of the book and having sex with Johnny and saving his butt from the assassins. Who do you think that was based on? Anyway, don't believe a word I say. Just like the movie about Basquiat, Are you the real Santa? No, I am not. I am Santa's younger brother, Bob. Bob Claus. That's why I'm Sensie Owl Bob. Bob Claus, right? Now, I don't tell people that because they'll be constantly trying to, oh, can I do something for you, Bob? Just give me enough likes on Santa's list. What's going on in here? So at least 12 of you guys and gals are still in state. You're looking at the screen. I wanted you to see that all of what you think, or no, all of what you're led to believe is reality is just on that screen. I said, did you see that movie with Johnny Depp? That was me. See that movie? That was me, right? And if you were to waste, if you took the time to go down the rabbit hole and, go see about me, you would see, my God, that is that guy. He did do that. He did know that person. He was there. Unlike the Forrest Gump of the esoteric and fun world, the new age, which is the old age. Conquer web cure. Yep, it's the Nick cure. It's the none eye cure. Yes. So how are you guys feeling? Who are in state, right? Who are lying down, who are relaxing? Don't you feel a lot better? Haven't you've been so taken out of your worries, so taken away from the illusion, and put in front of the screen, right? That is the illusionary screen of your dreams. It's the screen, and that's not even a screen. It's a dimension. So everyone who's still hanging in there, I want you to walk through that screen. It's a cold, shimmering field, and you've been watching all of this that I've been talking about just appear right in your face, right? You've been having REM sleep, right, throughout this whole thing. And you feel great. And you're still asleep. You don't even feel your body. Your body is healing itself because it's actually still focused on its breath, bringing in the prana, cleaning up your blood and your organs. And you're not even there. At least your consciousness is not there. You're there, kind of, but you're conscious. That thing that is the covenant, that's you're there with love. That's why you're feeling what you're feeling. See it clearly. Understand it. So there you are. You're standing right in front of the jiggling screen. And did you ever see that movie or TV show Stargate? That's what that is. But that's an artificial version of what you're seeing that's real in your spiritual self. That thing was just to get around town, but that was the town of the material. What you are about to walk through is into your, can you believe that? They are destroying the most beautiful mountain range just to build crap. And they haven't even fixed the road. They're keeping the roads totally destroyed because they're taking those big, heavy equipment up and down. If they fixed it, they would just be destroying it. So they leave it destroyed so that people like me, that's why my car is dead, because it was trying to navigate that stuff. Anyway. Yep. Well, my mom always said that, because I always had, I was always I was always from 9. I started working, but I worked for Grandpa Stoll and Mike, and I had fun every day. Mike treated me like his son. Mike was my father more than my sperm donor was. Now, the sperm donor, he had his good sides to them, and I loved him dearly. but I stayed away from. Whereas my poor brothers and sisters, they were like in the wearing blender of that family. Me, not so much. I was little. I was over in a corner, just taking notes, right? And I was very blessed to be when I electrocuted myself, or when I stuck the butter knife into the outlet, and my younger sister ratted me out to my mom, and my mom was, she put her hand on the big metal radiator and then grabbed me, and she became part of the circuit. I was just getting a tingle. She got and blown across the living room, and she, smashed into her favorite coffee table. And so that's when she said, "Okay, Grandma, you take this one." And Grandma took me, back to Harlem, and Mrs. Green was the upstairs neighbor who just had a baby 3 or 4 months before I was born. And so I was on one tit, and Emily was on the other. And that's why I'm an African American that's melanin challenged. Now see that in the screen. See it clearly. All of that I just described to you. That whole little vignette. Me putting a butter knife, my mom getting zapped, right? And God did that, because if I had stayed with them, I'd be as squirrely as they are. But no, I was with my grandma for, 6 years. Unconditional love. Everyone up there were all grandmas. They loved you dearly. Mrs. Green, I got the best nourishment from her mammary glands. That's what Emily and I called her, Mammo. Mammo, 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 Mammo. And Emily and I, we slept in the same crib, same bed until I left, till I was 6. We were like two peas in a pod, as Forrest Gump would say. And with his little Jenny, that was us, right? And I stayed tight with her for years, as we grew up, because I was still in New York. I still had my friends uptown. Wasn't until I left in '88 where I just kind of said goodbye to everyone and everything. Here comes this moron. Let's see how well he does with the road. Is he going to come down the road? He's going to take the turn? Maybe. Maybe. Could be. Let's see if he takes up. Yeah, he's coming down. He's scared because of these big things he dug up. Let's see if we can show you. You heard it. Oh, there he is. So this ain't the deep green. This is about 1.5 miles from that road down there is the logging road. And people take it now because they haven't fixed the county road. So that's why my car is destroyed. Now he's getting to the rocky part. I don't think that vehicle is going to last too long. But he took it pretty slow. That shows a level of semi-intelligence, because some people just go flying down that. They hit this big rock. They don't see it. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the dynamics of the planet, but we have these gigantic energy vortexes that run through our planet, right? And that's kind of what creates gravity and light and a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're down to 11. 44 likes. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Now he's getting up to that really tippy tip up there. Well, he didn't do too bad. because he dug a big hole back there and he kind of went over it slow. What do you think? Am I? No, I'm not preaching. I'm telling stories. I'm a griot. I tell stories. I crack the door open so you guys can peek in, right? So, everyone who's at the event horizon of your Akashic record, walk right on through. Okay, you're walking in there, look around. My God, it's a library, right? Oh, look, it's made up of stars and books. My God, look at all this. Oh, look at that fireplace. It's gigantic. And there's a coffee table, the one my mom broke. It's right there, and comfy chairs and lazy boys. And now, look, what is that? That's a table, a librarian's table. Where's that light coming from? Look, I put my hand right there, and there's no shadows. That's called photonic light. So you're standing in front of your reading table, and there's the reading chair. And to your left, you see your librarian. See it clearly. See it. See what your librarian looks like, what your librarian's wearing, what gender your librarian is, what species your librarian is. See it clearly. To the left of your librarian, and your librarian brings you the information. That's it. Just brings it to you. Your animal totem that's next to the librarian, I want you to see your animal totem, see what it is, see what it looks like, and that animal totem's there when the information that's brought to you by your librarian and you're at the reading table and you're reading it, and it doesn't quite make sense. You just can't quite understand it. You go to your animal totem and go, hey, what is this? What are they talking about? Animal totem is your personal griot. Meaning I am everyone's griot. Your animal totem approaches the information, as I do, through story, but from the context of whatever animal it is. So right now, we're in this Akashic state, right? So what does my face look like right now? Doesn't look like the guy who was talking to you earlier, does it? No, it looks a little different, doesn't it? I wonder what that is. Okay, and to the left of your animal totem is your guardian angel, right? Your guardian angel is there to protect you. See it clearly. So you never have to worry about anything. You don't have to fear anything. Remember, I'm Santa's brother. Eat the cookies. I will. Any gift that is given to me, I always appreciate and am thankful for and enjoy with grace and love. So you put those cookies out there, I'm going to eat them, but I'm not going to eat them blah, 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 blah. I'm going to ooh, I taste that love. Oh, that person is so sweet. Oh, I love this cookie. I love you too. Oh, and a glass of milk. I love cold. The only thing I drink cold is milk because we should not be drinking cold drinks. It really skits out our colon. So drink everything room temperature except wine. Like really good red wine, just drop in 2 ice cubes. That's it, no more. And because it kind of thins it out and brings really dark red wine can hold certain tannins. You throw in those 2 ice cubes, it kind of loosens them up. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy, 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 happy birthday to you, birthday boy, birthday girl, and I can see you, 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 and remember, every morning you wake up is your birthday. It's the first day of your life. Every morning you wake up it's your birthday. Happy birthday to everybody who's been on the show all day long. We've been here doing this now? 109 minutes and 32 seconds. Happy, happy, happy. I love you. Happy, happy, happy. Be happy. Happy, happy, happy. Fill your heart with love's co-creation, and in every day and every way, take to piece the earth and make it stronger, because that will truly make you happy, happy, happy. When you give to others, you will feel that happiness twice as much. Be happy, happy, happy. How can you say happy birthday to me? It's a happy, 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 happy. You always be the best we ever had. I do my best to be the best you ever had. I am here as your griot, your teacher, your rabbi, here just to tell you stories. Don't believe a word I say. Check it out. I'm here just to crack the door open so you can really see what's in there, because birthday boy or girl, the present I'm giving you is the authority to be the decider of your own life. You don't have to listen to anybody else. It's good to listen to them. Don't have to believe them. Listen to them. Get insight, understanding, perspective, all the above. The best thing is you see some chucklehead 3 blocks down. You kind of get over to where they can't see you, and you just watch them, and then you see the bus hit them. You go, if I wasn't watching that guy, that would have been me. Happy birthday to you. You're not going to get hit by a bus. And if you breathe in the prana, you won't get cancer. But don't believe me, it's not FDA approved. Happy, happy, happy. Stay happy, and you will be happy. Yep, expanding bots. I think that's like the measurement of how good you are. If you're doing the job, right? And as long as you are the cadre there and keep slipping it, and come on, give it a try. Put it in caps so I can actually read what you guys are saying. Here's the bot boys. Bot it's. No, they're not boys, they're just bots. Do. Turn the cam. What is that? Oh, it's the alien chosen one. The Anunnaki. The Khazarian mobster. But he's not a mobster. He's a Khazarian wannabe. That's what he really is. Or it is. I don't even know what it is. But it's definitely got that Khazarian flair, people go on and on about Muslims and their, what do they call it? Their little business plan, whatever they call that thing. Living a certain way, kind of like the 10 Commandments, got to realize that Muslims are just Christians on steroids, right? You can get anything you want. Just go to love's co-creation. In the Bible it says, ask and you will receive, right? Bless these gifts that I'm about to receive from thy bounty through Christ. Amen. And you're asking and also thanking for the gifts. So if you do that, you'll get whatever you want. Most people are just bullies and stupid, and I got to do, I live in reality. I got to pay the bills, blah, 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 blah. Can I get a whatever? Do. Let's go all the way down. Ooh, that's, where's my bin bag? I left it back in the deep green. I was emptying my pockets to put something in, and I forgot to stick it back in my pocket. I don't think it's going to rain till later because it's too cold. Meaning, for this moisture to turn into rain, we needed to have some serious sun And we might get that serious sun later in the afternoon. What time is it now? It's almost 2 o'clock, yeah. So, disrespect this guy. Another level. Yep, pretty much. Just joined. What is going on this? So what we're doing here is we're having, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I am your Sensie Owl Bob, here to tell you a story. And a sensei tells stories. It's basically a teacher. It's a rabbi, or a sensei is Japanese for teacher. A griot is the storyteller, that is a teacher. And a griot is somewhere between the sensei and the rabbi, right? So what the griot does is tell you a story and cracks the door open so you can see what's inside there. So we did a guided meditation, and you can go into your Akashic record, which is a library of all existence, right? And in that library, you can see, meet, do anything, right? So close your eyes, take a big breath in, fill your lungs more, fill them in. Let it all out, let it all out. Let all the toxins out of your body, right? Find yourself a nice seat, couch, lie down, a bed, lie down, easy boy, lean back, but put yourself in a physical position where your body is safe, because when you go into state, your consciousness, right, which is that which you share with love's co-creation, will become illuminated through your breath, and you'll be breathing in the prana. And that is photonic light. That's a light of enlightenment, a light that is Jesus Christ, the light that is love's co-creation, the light that we all are when we are consciously intent to, in every day and every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. So, you want to know what's going on? It's a little class on how to do that. Really simply, all you got to do is breathe consciously. But because we live in this illusionary world, the first time you start to do this, you will just, so you got to stick your body, your avatar. You aren't your body, right? We are a spiritual being living, borrowing this avatar. It's like a car. We drive it around to have experience. This life, this is reality. This is, no, not reality. This is a sandbox for our soul. Why you got hair running out of your nose? Because that's how God put it there, right? It's this thing here, all the way up in there. You got hair all the way that starts here and goes out here. The beard isn't this way, it's this way. And what it is, it's it cleanses the air wherever you are. So whatever particulate matter or toxins get caught here, right? So you just, right, and you spit it out. Let's see. I'm just going home, and I'm not going back in the office today, so I'm going home now, but I'm not going home until tomorrow. Buddy, whenever you're here on this channel, you're home. This is, Billy Joel wrote a great song about being at home. Billy Joel, he grew up in a place called Oyster Bay, Long Island, and I kind of was up the golden, what do they call it? The Miracle Mile. I was about 10 miles from the Miracle Mile up into Suffolk County. I was right on the line. I was near Oldfield. Glen Cove was here, and Oyster Bay was over here. And I got there in 1960 with my folks. And we had come from the other side. We had come from the South Shore, where Freeport was, which was almost, it was like, Freeport was like 10 minutes to Kennedy Airport. It was just on the edge of Manhattan, and that's where the rich people lived. And because the ocean, the beach was there, that's where Jones Beach kind of started. And it was there were two places where ships came in on Long Island. One was Freeport, the other was Glen Cove. They were both pirate places where contraband still comes in there. When I was there, they were bringing in contraband, booze and other contraband, but it was where the rich people lived. But not the Hamptons. The Hamptons were the Gilded Age folk, But Freeport was a place where artists lived, where movie stars were, where vaudeville people were, where Broadway people were, where musicians were. But the guys who made it, got out of Harlem and you made money, and they had the big bands and they had all these clubs right on the water and all these restaurants. This road that went just out, and it's where the ocean came in, and there was the harbor, and this road went right out to the ocean. And there was like, what do they call it? Something Bay. It's like where the baymen were, who would like rake up oysters and clams. And I grew up there. My dad did. I first 6 years with grandma in Harlem. Then I went there for another 6 years. No, not 6 years, another 4 years. 2 years before I went to first grade, and then I went to first grade, and then a nun killed me, and then I ended up 2 years in Garden City, Long Island, in a Maryknoll, not seminary, sanctuary. And there was publishing place. I mean, the Maryknolls are the really artist-smart clan of the Catholic Church. And Cardinal Cushing, he was only 3 hats from the Pope. He wanted me to be a rocket scientist for the Vatican. And most of the NASA scientists were nuns and priests, and they were Nazis, and they kind of, that was their thingamajig, hideaway. What do you think of 67? Well, it's a nice number. My favorite is 42, though. If you could elucidate on 67, 77, 77 Sunset Strip. Remember that TV show? Santa was very naughty. No, I was never naughty. I was always a cheeky monkey. And what does a cheeky monkey do? Class, anyone? A cheeky monkey tells truth to illusions or powers, to illusions power, to ego. It tells truth to ego. What happened to the nun? Well, I really don't know. She murdered me. No, she hit me, it was like that, and then she went bang, and I was out. And I didn't wake up for another 3 weeks when I was in a hospital in New York, and I was in a body cast, and there's just 2 little slits for my eyes, so I couldn't see anything that wasn't in a slit. I had 2 straws up my nose, and I had a thing here, and I had a pipe up my wee-wee, and one up my hoo-hoo, and I was there, and and I had 2 little holes where my ears were, and I heard these nuns saying, well, when the brain swelling goes down, we're planning to give him a lobotomy. And luckily, my Aunt Gracie, my mother, Dr. Black, and Cardinal Cushing kicked in like the Avengers and took me out of there. And I was like a ironing board, none of those joints, he just picked me up, and, well, Cardinal Cushing didn't pick me up. His bodyguard did. This big black detective. Out of this planet. Let's see, if you guys would only print it. Next time I'm going to try my best, do my best to bring my glasses. I'm not Santa. I'm his younger brother's Bob Claus. Well, Jesus is always talking to me. He's my bud, Game, Trump, the Lord of Shout Out, Please. Well, Donnie is just a game show host, and most empires take 100 or so years to collapse. Donnie's doing it in 10 months. In about 10 months, all the stuff he's done so far, and he's just pulled out, First, you had Neon Husk go into all of the governmental offices and just take the servers away. So all of the rules and regulations that were on the servers, and Neon Husk took it down to Memphis, Tennessee, and is feeding it to his gigantic AI brain. And he's, basically poisoning everyone in Memphis because they don't have enough electricity or water. So he's taking all their water to cool this monster, and they don't have enough electricity, even though they're on a TVA grid off a dam. He's got something like 60 gas turbines, and he's not running them on natural gas, which wouldn't be that bad. It'd be bad, but not that bad. He's running them on bunker oil, the gookiest that you can. So he's like, wow, killing everyone, everything he can. And that, Neon Husk is a cutout. He is a Peter Tilk cutout. And Peter Tilk is a cutout to the Sith Lord, Hail Hydra. Did any of that make any sense? And don't believe a word I say. This is all just a story. It's all fun and games, crayons and sprinkles. This guy can transport to places. Well, you kind of make me blush. See, I'm blushing. See, I'm blushing. No, what I have is a destroyed larynx and esophagus. That's why. But I did live in England and Ireland for a good deal of time. And I had this ear here. This ear is great for languages. I mean, I have to be sitting in a cafe, along the Champs-Élysées. And in the restaurant, I can't quite hear anything because it bounces everywhere. But I'm outside, I can hear people all like down the next block and over on that park bench. And it just goes in this ear and it kind of boop, 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 boop. And, if I stay in one place for a month, I can speak the language. Not well, but better than most Americans. And the thing that I have in it is the context of whatever neighborhood I'm in, because I use the words they do, and they're like, oh, isn't he sweet? You know what I mean? You know what I mean, man? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And that's why I get along with women, because I listen to them with both my ears. And I get them. And I don't tell them what to do. I after they talk to me, I go, I hear you saying, and blah, and I repeat exactly what they said to me, and they go, listen to me. I love you. Have my babies. That's all it takes, guys, really. It's it. And then you kind of say, well, we I'm old school. We got to get to know each other. And so you take about a week. Unless it's smitten, unless it's like in the stars, and that happens. My wives were all that, every single one of them. Within 15 minutes, we were bouncing boots, right? And half of them, it didn't matter that we were like out and about. We didn't have to be in my apartment or her apartment or someplace private. Nah, half of my wives loved doing it in public. My first wife, she loved it on subways. You ever see that, Tom Cruise's, Risky Business? And his prostitute girlfriend, not my first wife, wasn't a prostitute. She was brilliant. I mean, all my wives were brilliant. I have to say that. That was one of the con de jours, right? French girl. Of course, I lived with French girls. I lived in France. I lived in Paris. Then, see, the secret to living in foreign lands is have 2 or 3 skill sets that are good anywhere on the planet. Being an electrician, being I guess, back in the day, I used to call myself an alternative healer. But today, I would say I am a diplomat. Because you want to work out a deal with people who are screaming at each other, you get them first to sit on the couch. Not on the same couch, you're in the middle, right? And you say, take off your shoes. And whosever feet smells really bad, that person's got a problem. The other problem, you don't smell their feet, then they're doing better. So then I always have my little bag, my tool bag, and one of them is I have a little like spritzer, that you like spritz the flowers with. And I have rubbing alcohol, a little tea tree, a little, a few other aromatics, um, um, you know, cayenne pepper, highest BTUs I can find, and a few other things in there. And I kind of shake it up, and I just spritz it on their feet, and they smell like roses. And then I adjust your feet, because your feet are the bedrock of your physical body. Every organ, every nerve, everything in your body is in your feet. You want to clean your feet? There is a very nice little mixture that you put in a gauze, and you stick the gauze on the bottom of your feet, and you just take a little tape, not like you wrap it up like broken bone, but just so that gauze with the stuff in it stays there. It will suck all the heavy metals out of your body. Now they sell those things for $500, a little pad, and it has a little thingamajig that sticks it on your foot. But just a nice little gauze, and you take this stuff you can get in any kind of good herbal new age healing place. And the thing is, you make this stuff yourself. You don't let other people make it. And that means you have to study with a guy like me. I've studied with a lot of guys like me, lots, like over 100 over the years. Have you ever dated a French girl? Yeah, French girls. So in France, in Belgium, I dated a French girl. New York City, I dated a French girl. In LA, I dated a French girl. Miami, I dated a French girl. In a place called Totola, which is a Caribbean island right across from the U.S. Virgin Islands, I dated a French girl. And she was a pirate, and she was Swiss. Oh, here comes somebody down the Killer Road. How are they doing? Oh, it's the den mother. Oh, she just bottomed out on the guy's thing. Ooh, she bottomed out again. You got a bit too fast. Ooh, yes. Almost slid up the side of the hill. I mean, all you got to do is stand here and you get entertained by the morons, or as I like to call them, cockroaches. They don't know this, but... So anyway, all those French girls, in a certain essence, they were all the same, but very different. Height, all the above. Skill sets, you name it. But the thing, the fact that I could kind of make them happy and crack the door for the things that were bothering them the most, and then hanging out with them. So I could kind of speak French, but not really, when I would first meet them. But they go, "You're trying, very good." I mean, they could speak English. And I said, okay, so what I really want is whenever we're together, I want you to speak French to me all the time. And, within a couple of weeks, this ain't just one, no, this is, you like me, I like you, there's nobody else around, right? So, that's how it works, right? And so the fact that I would constantly do my best, A, to make her happy, B, see, you hear that? That's the destruction of God's beautiful world. And that's why we're having wars. And that's why things are a little messed up. But they've always been messed up. Because end times ain't coming anytime soon. I got to walk, so I'm just going to walk back and forth. How long have we been doing this? 133 minutes. Ooh. British passport? No, I just, You know what it is? I lived in Sweden, right? And I lived, meaning not just, stayed there a little bit. And I stayed with a friend of mine who is a great, he was like from Amherst, Massachusetts, right? I'd gone to prep school with this guy, and Bert. And women just fell all over him. And he could play the guitar pretty well. And the way I kind of fit in whatever area I am, he had the same thing with music. So, I remember the first time we went to Toronto and lived up there. That's, again, Toronto, French girl, right? Okay, back again. Anyway, your cloud storage, I don't have, blah. Anyway, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call that guy back and see. I only have this passive aggressive phone, so I can't really do the stuff it's supposed to be able to do. Mostly on my fault. I mean, why it's passive aggressive? I have no idea how to use this thing, and so that's why it's passive aggressive. And I'm near the internet, maybe 6 hours a week, and it gets psychotic when it's not on the. It's not. I'm not on the cloud. Blah. Anyway, so I'm going to say goodbye. How much? Oh, boy, you guys have been writing. Great. So I'm going to come back. Let's see. It's now 2:02. I'm going to come back by 3. Okay? Anybody who wants to come back, come on back. Okay? Okay. I love you guys. I think that was a good show. I think I cracked the door for a bunch of you. And all those people want stories about French girls and all the rest. Come on back, right? And all the trolls, what we had to do with the trolls and the bots and this stuff, we just have to use our third eye, our pineal gland, and that's what I was doing when we were doing the guided meditation. I was just like, moving them away, like a Jedi Knight, right? These aren't the droids you're looking for, okay?